Talk with Divination TV, and I'm so excited to have Sarah Heartsong with me today. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
And we are going to talk about Sarah's new book, and she just got it. Do you want to show it to
Sure, I would love to. It's called Beltane Blessings and the Wisdom of Rhiannon.
her? All
And
right.
it's for the preteen audience. And I'm going to be getting different cover art soon as well because Reverend Dawn is working on some art for me for these books.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I have to tell you, as a grandmother, I am so excited about this project because Beltane can be a little difficult to address with young ones. And so, can you start by telling us what inspired you to write this book?
So I've been doing this work since 1992 is when I had my real epiphany and come to the goddess moment and realized I'm a witch. And then I graduated in 94 from a Lutheran institution with a degree in religion, and that's lovely and wonderful. And from that time, I've been working on writing different things and, writing my own ceremonies out and all of the things. And so I've actually been writing this book for a really long time because I've been putting together my Wheel of the Year series. However, it came into focus couple months ago, probably it was in January around Imbolc when we're really doing the visioning for what's to be, and I'd done a lot of prayer work about this, and all of a sudden it clicked. And I knew that my audience was preteens, and that's when the little Pastafarian story started. And it's written itself, that little part, and then it just fell right into the book that I already had mostly done, but it was like, what makes my book different than everybody else's Wheel of the Year books? Now, I'm one who will gather a whole bunch of Wheel of the Year books around me when I'm writing a ritual and say, oh, well, that's a great idea. How can I make it work for my community? Right? Like, I love Wheel of the Year books. Um, and so I knew that there was a place for my book, but when I realized it's preteens, bam, there it was. That's when it all fell into focus. And now I'm going to be spinning out a book every quarter. So we just did Beltane, and the next one will be Lunasa. And then the next year, I'll be doing the solstices and equinoxes to give myself some time to get everything right in the book before it comes out. And I'm sure that there are a few things that we didn't quite get to in this book because we really wanted it out for Beltane to help people with this conversation, because you're right. It's not easy. It's a really hard thing, especially when they're like know-it-alls and they know it all, but they really don't.
Oh, yeah. Did
I'm
I
sure
mention one of my grandkids is 14?
you did. You did. Uh-huh. And so I've also got a background as a sex educator, and I've also worked with people with all different intellectual diversity. So from the very, very challenged, can't do anything physically for oneself, to the more advanced, need just reminders and helps to stay on track and that kind of thing. I have the whole range of experience working with all kinds of people and getting the communication right. My master's is in communication studies, and I really look at identity. So identity formation is so important in that time of life.
Definitely. And
I have tools to help with that conversation, especially since identity has become so fluid nowadays. And a lot of us are like, what are these new words? I don't even understand what cis female means. What does that mean? What is what does non-binary mean? And when you identify as that, what does that mean? I have a whole section of the book for parents, and I have a little format to help the young person or the old person or whoever is looking at this book to figure out an identity statement, so that if they're in a social setting that might be romantic or a dating kind of situation that you want to explain how you approach. your gender, your sexuality, your identity around those things, I help you to develop a statement that you can just pull out of your back pocket and say, "This is me, blah, 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 blah."
And that is wonderful. And it is a whole different conversation than we had when I was growing up. I'm 56. And I think it's wonderful that we have this conversation because if you were not a straight person, you pretty much were left out of the conversation. When I was growing up,
Absolutely. And that is
there
not
was
the
no,
situation anymore.
it's not the situation, and it's wonderful because now everyone can be a part of the conversation, and we are, I hope, at least causing less damage to people.
My intention in this book, and especially this piece of this conversation, is to help people become a little more mindful of where you come from and where other people come from, and so that we can maybe find a place to meet in the middle. So, for instance, in the little tiny story that starts out the book, which is about some kids going to Beltane for the first time, and they're right there at puberty, and things are happening, and their bodies are changing, and they're confused, and there's some iffy situations there. They end up finding a bottle, an empty bottle from a mead gathering, or we call it the yeast gatherers meeting, where they talked about mead and such things. Well, they found a Dionysian bottle, and then of course they're prompted to play spin the bottle. But the spin the bottle in my book has um, choices. So it's all about consent and helping them to explore what is appropriate, what feels right, and have some rules around touch and consent, especially in that game. Like we didn't have any rules around touch or consent, and it was awkward. It was terribly awkward. This is a way to make it maybe no, it's going to be awkward, but it's fun awkward, and there's rules around negotiation. And sometimes you don't want somebody to kiss you, but you'd be fine with them kissing you on maybe on the hand, not on the cheek.
Yes,
But if you would kiss my hand, that would be fine. So
I
there's that
tell you what,
leveling
I'll
option.
shake your hand and we're friends.
Exactly. So you can level to a place where there you can find a yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's wonderful. I absolutely love that approach to making them a discussion around consent and negotiation.
I have to say, like, so I'm writing this also for my inner child at that age, because I think that it's actually for people that are our age too, who have this inner child that never had that dialogue, to teach
Oh, yeah.
ourselves this too, and to be good parents to ourselves and our inner children at whatever age they are. And so many of us had huge trauma at this age.
Oh, yeah. Yes, and we got into situations we didn't know how to handle.
Hmm.
We couldn't really talk to adults about it because the answer would be, okay, you're not going out with your
Yeah,
friends anymore.
the answer is just no, no. Okay, but yeah, and then it becomes such a binary thing, right?
Yes,
Where's the in betweens? Where's the negotiated
exactly.
maybes? Maybe if this and this, then X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
So that is wonderful. So, do you have an actual ritual script in the book?
There is. So the ways the book's formatted, sorry, is it starts out with the little story, modern day kids that are best friends. One is cis female, one cis male. That means that they're biologically by birth, one male and one female bodied. And they're coming into this change of their life, right? And they've been best friends, and things are changing and shifting. They end up liking the same boy at this ritual. Now, what do they
Ah,
do? And this is a brand new thing. So it becomes a non-binary story around feelings and having these romantic kind of feelings, and what do you do with them? And especially at an event that is about sexiness in spring. And it's the perfect time in our religion, people who are nature centered and focused, for them to explain these things to the people around them. So I'm not just going to say children, like all of the people, because we have to be re-educated as well. So um, it starts with that story, a non-binary, and then I do a traditional narrative, which is the story of Rhiannon, and a great deal of her story is around Beltane focus, the very beginning part of of her story that shows up in the Mabinogi. And
Mm.
so I retell it, and then it goes into the parents guide and some resources for parents, which include, um, as I said, this identity piece, but also links to curriculum for sex ed, uh, links to YouTube videos, links to websites that have a bunch of resources, and books, other books to go deeper. The final section, though, is a ritual. So I give a sample ritual along with some guides, some things that I've learned along the way and the different ceremonies that I've watched over these 30 years, and kind of best practices that I've seen, especially focusing on helping people to be included.
Okay. And if people want to order this wonderful book, they will go to CarelianPublishing.com.
Yes, please. I mean, you can go to Amazon. We're there too, but it's much better for us if you get it directly from the Corellian Publishing. And the Corellian Church is doing a wonderful job with their elder education. I mean, the preservation of their education and the wisdom and sharing that. I love that. And in fact, Corellians just joined the TOLUS, which is a an association that I founded called the Tree of Life Interfaith Sanctuary. And one of our vision areas is also preserving the wisdom of our elders. So this is a perfect match in this sense. So the other two areas are land sanctuaries and development of places that on the land people can go and know that they're safe in their rights, even if they decide to be skyclad and naked in their rights. It's perfectly fine out here at Erosia. That's my land sanctuary at the base of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State. We have 13 acres of land, and I'm actually spinning a Beltane celebration right now that will be the first weekend of May. So I'm looking forward to that and doing some fire suppression management out there on the land today. That's what they're doing, taking down the trees that have fallen from the wind, making sure everything's down, and cutting trees that are dead but standing, that kind of thing. They're out there working on the forest right now. So doing the things. The third leg is leader training and support. So in the TOLUS, those are the three main areas we're focused on as an association. And we would love to have more members who are singular, so solitaire practitioners as well as groups. So we're written so that we can include all of the people, and we are a 501c3.
And that is wonderful, Sarah. And what forms does the book come in? Is it, you
Sure.
showed us the spiral bound.
Yeah. I wanted it to be accessible in multiple ways because different people have different needs around reading. So we have an electronic book that you can download to your devices. We have a regular paperback book, and we also have the spiral bound book. And I added the spiral bound because my guides really wanted people to have that as an option, and partly because you can take apart the book. So eventually you can take the books apart and put them together the way you might want them to be. Maybe you want all of the ceremonies together in one book. Maybe you want the full story for the kids and give them the whole story at once. So there's more options for later.
And that is a wonderful idea. And if you're studying it, you can just lay it flat.
Exactly. And if you're using the ritual as the ritual, and you wanted to do lying a book flat is so much easier when you're doing a ritual, isn't it?
It really, really is.
Yeah. I've had books that I've ended up taking apart myself just so that I can put holes and put it in a 3-ream binder.
And I've made copies of rituals out of books
Oh, yeah, that's another way to do it for sure. Mhm.
so we can pass them around and
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
enlarge them a bit.
We do have another project that's gonna be coming out from the Corellians I'm just looking forward to. It's the Tolis, the association and Corellians are putting together something that I've been carrying with me very closely for about 20 years, and we're calling it the Ritual Recipe Box. So imagine a
Ooh,
recipe box with little parts of the ritual that you can mix and match and make your own, and we have different teachers that will come out with different cards to go in that ritual box.
oh,
It's
that will
coming.
be wonderful.
So this is another project that the Tolis, inspired by this vision I've had. I've been, like I said, carrying this vision for a really long time, and I've just now found, like the people. It's about community. It's about interfaithing, bringing it together, and giving people tools so that they can make their path, and do it what feels right inside them. Really deeply.
I love that, Sarah.
I got lots of ideas. I'm an idea person. Now I need to find so this is partly too to help fund these projects, right? So if people go and buy these books, they're going to help me make this land sanctuary here. They're going to help me to help other people make land sanctuaries. They're going to help me to help other leaders when they're in crisis in their coven and they're like, I don't know what to do. Well, that's why we have an association, so that we can be in connection with one another, and ask somebody else, have you had this happen before? What worked, what didn't work, or what did you learn?
Do you
So
have a web address for the Tollus?
absolutely. So the words are Tree of Life Interfaith Sanctuary. So we go by Tolis, Tolis, and that last letter becomes sanctuary in our web address. So it's Tolis sanctuary,
Okay.
sanctuary.org.
All right. And we're going to throw that up for a minute.
And then we do have a website for Erosia as well. Perfect. You did it right. Great. Perfect. And then Erosia is erosia.org. So it's the land of Eros. So erosia.org is my land sanctuaries website.
Okay. And
And
we'll
you
show
will
that
find that
one.
link at tolasanctuary.org as well, because we do have a page on there with the people who are organizations who are associated or affiliated with us. We can put your information there too so people can find you. Eventually, I want to have it so that we have land sanctuaries from all over the world be a part of our association and be on a sheet so you can see them and you can go around and visit them if you're taking a trip and you want to stop at places where when you do your evening prayer skyclad, nobody's gonna blink an eye. They're gonna be like, look at that person doing their work. Good for them.
That's wonderful. And do you have information on how to start a land sanctuary and maintain it?
That's a great thing that we should add to our website. Right now I've been helping people directly when they contact me directly, because every state has their own rules. And so I, as a coach, can coach you. I'm not an attorney. I'm a coach that can coach you through the process of looking up your laws and getting yourself to be familiar with what your state needs and where to go find those things. I did it for myself. I've helped other people
Mm-hmm.
do it. I'll give you a sample of a couple of bylaws that we've done. We had a parliamentarian who is part of our association help us with the association, the TOLUS's bylaws, and that was a really interesting process. And so I learned a lot through that, and I can give you our parliamentarian's number and name. And he's a professional parliamentarian that could potentially help you with your bylaws as well. And it's a little bit different talking to a parliamentarian than, say, talking to an attorney. They have a little different opinion about things. It's very interesting. Anyway, I can help by coaching. We
Okay.
we also have a quarterly wisdom circle where we gather on a Sunday and we on Zoom, or if you gather with your people, you can Zoom in together as a group, and it's 4 rounds. The first round is connection and a meditation of connectivity with one another. Then we go into round 2, which is a teaching of some sort and a reflective space around that teaching. Third one is sharing openly about whatever is going on with us, whatever songs, stories, jokes, whatever we would like to share. Then round 4 is gratitude and looking forward and doing that networking piece and sharing what's coming up for one another. So we can decide, do we want to go travel to the East Coast or to the wherever and go see them do whatever they're working on, which is really cool to hear. So you also would then be networked with other people that you can reach out to and say, hey, you're doing something similar to me. How about we kind of do it together, and share the work in creating this thing. So many ways
And
we're stronger together, right?
that is just a wonderful resource you are developing.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's like we're gathering people to center on an ethics, on a statement of the way that we believe we should be together, not on a theology or a tradition. We're
Right.
just saying nature-centered spiritual people. We're an association of that who have this ethics. So that we always ask people, do you agree with our statement of ethics? Because then that takes care of a lot of stuff that we don't have to then review. We all have already got it an understanding.
And that is just an absolutely beautiful idea.
Thank you. We also have a policy for bad behavior.
And that's important.
Yes, it is absolutely important, and I can share that with other groups if they would like to see what we put together. Again, why do you have to do the work from scratch when other people have already done it?
Yes. So that is a marvelous resource. And thank you so much for putting it together and being willing to share it in community.
Well, we're still working, so this is also me saying, "Hey, y'all out there, come on, join us." We're the bigger we get, the better we can support each other. It is not about one being better than another. No, no. This is about us supporting each other, not competing with one another.
Right. Well, Sarah, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me and for sharing my little book, the Beltane Blessings and the Wisdom of Rhiannon, found at CarelianPublishing.org, right? Or is it .com?
Right. It is .com. We'll
It's a
throw
.com.
that up.
There it is. Perfect. Help us to help you.
Yes.
Send
So
us some
please,
money
every,
and we'll help you in the process. It's a reciprocal thing.
yes, it is. So I do encourage everyone to go to CarelianPublishing.com check out Beltane Blessings. And am I forgetting something, Sarah?
And the wisdom of Rhiannon. There it is.
Beltane Blessings and the Wisdom of Rhiannon by Sarah Heartsong. There's several other offerings there. And this is Reverend Mary Hawk and Sarah Heartsong on Divination TV.